Excuse me, Mr. Teacher. Can you give us a formula to figure out what we need to make on the final exam to pass the course? What grade do you want to get? Honestly, sir, I just want to pass the course. Oh, yes, sir. Please tell me. I would like to know what I need to get an A in the course. Oh, you're in luck. I knew you were going to ask that question. Matter of fact, let's make a lesson out of it. Thank you so much. Let's develop a formula to figure out what you need to make on the final exam to get any letter grade you desire. Let's roll. The example I'm going to present is going to look at these categories. We want homework to be 20%, quizzes to be 20%, tests to be 40%, and the final exam to be 20%. Now let's pull up a possible set of grades. In your situation, you may have more homework grades, you may have more quiz grades, you may have more tests grades in your particular class. So this is just an example. Make adjustments for your situation. The weighted mean works this way. All those categories that you saw in the previous screen count that corresponding percentage weight of the final score. So remember, homework was 20%, quizzes were 20%, tests were 40%, and the final exam is the last 20. If you total all that up, that's 100% of the final grade for that course. So let's look at these grades for this particular student. A, calculate the average of each category separate from the other. I have each category in its own column. Homework grades, we have 100, 90, 95, and 71. We want to calculate the average of those homework grades. So let's go to our calculator, add those up, those scores, divide by the number of scores we have, which is 4. That will be the average for the homework category. So let's see, total them up, hit enter, divide by 4 because there are 4 homework scores. So we're getting the average of that category is 89. So let's write that in blue. Now let's look at the quiz categories. We have 3 quiz grades, 88, 91, and 61. Calculate the average for those 3 scores. Add them up. There are 3, so divide 240 by 3. That average is 80. Let's find the average of the tests. So 80 plus 92 plus 74, divide by 3. The average of the test category is an 82. All right, so let's take these averages for each of these categories and let's see what we need to make on the final exam to get whatever grade we desire. Now, some may be possible, some may not be possible. So let's check it out. Here's the formula that I like to use. Your homework is going to be represented with an H. Remember, that's the homework. Remember, that's the homework category average, which we calculated before. The Q represents the quiz average. The T represents the test average. And then the F is going to represent the final exam. And then all that calculated by their corresponding percentages. Remember, 20% represented as a decimal is 0.2. 40% represented as a decimal is 0.4. So when you calculate all this, that's going to equal the final grade. So let's see what this student needs to make on the final exam to get an A in the course. Okay, we're going to work with a 10-point scale and we are going to round up. So 90 to 100 is going to be considered an A, but if you finish with an 89.5, that rounds up to a 90, which in turn will give you an A. So let's input our averages for each of our categories into the formula, and then for the final grade, let's input 89.5 and do a little bit of algebra. All right, this is what it would look like. So we have an average in our homework category of 89. That's going to be multiplied by 0.2. The 80 average for the quiz category is going to be multiplied by 0.2, which represents 20%. The 82 test average is going to be multiplied by 0.4 because tests weigh more. And then lastly, the final exam, which that's what we're trying to find, is multiplied by 0.2. And we want to say, how can that equal 89.5? So we need to solve for F. So what we want to do, let's scroll down, go to our calculator and multiply each of these. 89 times 0.2 is 17.8. 80 times 0.2 is 16. 82 times 0.4 is 32.8. And again, our unknown is F for the final exam. And we want that to equal 89.5, which would round up to a 90, which would give this student an A. All right, now this is just a basic linear equation. So add up your common terms, which I have all in blue. So let's see what we get when we add all those up. Added together is 66.6. Now it's a linear equation. Our variable is F, so we need to isolate F. So we're going to subtract over that 66.6 from 89.5. That's 22.9. And now how would you get F by itself? F is being multiplied by 0.2, so we are going to divide by 0.2. And when you divide by 0.2, you'll get 114.5. So this student would have to get over a 100 on the final exam to get an A in the course. So my question to you would be, is it possible? Unfortunately for student A, and a final grade of an A is not possible. Now what we would like to do is see what he or she needs to make on the final exam to get a B in the course. All we would have to do is take our formula and instead of 89.5, plug in 79.5, which would round to an 80, and a B is an 80 to 89. Okay, so let's replace all those 89.5s with 79.5s and finish this problem out. So we've replaced all those 89.5s with 79.5s. Nothing on the left side's changing. Only the intended final grade would change from an 89.5 to a 79.5. All the algebra will be the same. So now the 66.6 on the left side, let's subtract that from 79.5, 12.9. Divide 12.9 by 0.2, and you get 64.5. So a B is possible. It's highly possible. This student can get a 64.5 on the final exam and finish with a B in the course. And that's because they had high averages for each of those categories going into the final exam. Now to find out what you need to make on the final exam to get any score you like. In this situation, we would just replace the final grade with the grade that we would desire. In your particular situation, maybe your categories are different, maybe your weights are different. Hopefully this example can help you form your own equation to figure out what you need to make on the final exam to get the grade that you desire.